Alright, this is the first of a video series I'm going to do called 45 ACP versus 357 Magnum and full-size handguns. And by full-size, I mean something that's got a 4-inch barrel or greater on a 357 Magnum, or something close to a 5-inch barrel on a 45 automatic. Now, the interesting thing here is when you compare the 45 automatic to the 357 Magnum, a lot of their statistics as far as what they do to the intended target is very, very similar. But what's so striking is that they are so much different in a lot of ways. They're so much different in their bullet weight. They're so much different in their velocities. They're so much different even in their foot-pounds energy. Yet they're delivering similar performance to the intended target. Now, as of recently, I am a believer in momentum based on one of my subscribers. He knows who he is, explaining to me what momentum was. I probably would have went the rest of my life spouting off at the mouth foolishly saying that there's no momentum, but there's momentum, and certainly you take a projectile that's twice the weight almost. Even if you are pushing the lighter projectile a little bit faster, you still have more momentum with a heavier projectile. I mean, there's a little bit that goes in there with how much velocity. Obviously, if this was going at 10,000 feet per second, this is going 2 feet per second, you're not going to have more momentum just because it's heavier. But in a certain normal range, you're usually going to have more momentum with a heavier projectile, certainly one that's twice the weight almost. So let me run down some numbers here. Now, which one is actually more powerful? That'll be my first thought here. And I've looked up a lot of different numbers on a lot of different cartridges, and I'm going to stick to basic old school law enforcement rounds, and that's what I have right here on the table. I specifically picked these because they are within normal range of these cartridges. They're not super hot, they're not lightened down. And they happen to be what law enforcement did use for a long time, and they used them for a good reason. This right here is the federal 357B, but Remington and Winchester and everybody makes kind of a similar cartridge to this, where it's a semi-jacketed hollow point, a 125 grain, traveling at about 1,450 feet per second out of a 4-inch barrel. They're all pretty similar, and you got kind of the same thing here. The 230 grain federal hider shack standard pressure, that's what law enforcement oftentimes carry, and that's about 820 feet per second. I mean, it's right along the lines of ball ammo. So these right here are standard, basically. They're not like super new or anything like that. Now the stats on these, it's very interesting because what you're dealing with this 45, you're only dealing with 819 feet per second, which brings it out to only 343 foot-pounds of energy. As much or less than some 9mm. This, on the other hand, 1442 or 577 foot-pounds of energy. You have 234 foot-pounds energy more with this cartridge than with this cartridge. So even though this has the same foot-pounds energy as a 9mm, it's similar stats in every other way to the 357 Magnum. But the 9mm on a lot of these statistical data charts doesn't come anywhere near what the 45 does. So let me run down some of these numbers here. 1442 feet per second, or 577 foot-pounds. This is 819 feet per second, or 343 foot-pounds. But even though there's that vast 234 foot-pounds energy difference, one shot stop on the statistical charts has this one at 94% one-shot stop, and this one at 96%. Now, I know a lot of people are kind of mistrusting of those numbers, but when you're taking law enforcement particular cartridges that have a lot of documented shootings by law enforcement, I believe those numbers are a little bit more credible than let's say, Corbon safety slug carried in a concealed carry handgun, and if there's some chart that says there's a certain stopping power number, I'd be very skeptical of that. But law enforcement, where there's just thousands of actual shootings, I kind of do believe that there's a little bit of credibility to those numbers. So 94% one-shot stop, 96% with comparable cartridges here. Penetration, gel tests, 13.3 inches exactly on both of them. That's just what you're getting there. They did the goats at Strasbourg test where you shoot a goat and see how long it takes to drop over and be incapacitated. I would assume they did multiple, they'd shoot the goats multiple times, not multiple per one, but I mean they would shoot more than one goat one time to see what would happen. A lot of cartridges are up there 40 seconds, 30 seconds, 20 seconds, stuff like that. 45 auto, 8.4 seconds, incapacitated goat, single shot to the body. 8.4. 357 Magnum, 7.44. So less than a 1 second difference between how quickly they incapacitated goats. So when you look at the efficiency of a cartridge and what it's really doing, it seems to me that the 45 is a little bit more efficient in how it delivers its knockdown power, I guess if you want to call it. And I am now a believer in momentum, because what else could really make a difference that much if you're talking significantly less energy? Now you are talking a fatter bullet than the 357 Magnum for sure. So what I think that equates to sometimes is going to be that even if this doesn't expand that much, let's say it expands just a little bit barely, you're still talking a half-inch hole that could clip something. 357 Magnum, you're less likely to see it not expand, but if it did not expand, such as a hard cast round or something similar, you definitely have a smaller hole. 45 auto, 357 mag, they both seem to expand reliably in any cartridges I've ever tested. Your hollow point hole is usually larger in a 45, that probably aids in expansion. 357 Magnum, I think it doesn't really matter what you do to it. It's going to expand, it's going to fragment, it's just going to, it's a bad day to get hit with a 357 Magnum. Which cartridge would I rather be shot with? I wouldn't want to get shot with either of these. I think they would both be pretty bad. But I do think this 45 has more momentum, and I've noticed that in some of the stuff I've researched. Like, I've seen wounds with the 45 auto, and not only from wounds I've seen like on the internet where you know, wounds through the arm, through the chest. I've seen that video from forever ago where the guy, I don't remember his name, but he basically quick draw, and he's like, I shot myself. He shot his leg, and that wound goes all the way down his leg. It went in and it just went through everything in his leg and then exited out by his knee. So what you kind of see here is 357 Magnum. Oftentimes it will hit something, fragment out, and kind of lose some steam. The 45, not so much. It's not going to fragment. It's usually intact to some degree when you recover them from water jugs or gel. But the numbers are showing the same penetration. So what you're probably getting is, you know, the core of this is going to penetrate to 13.3 inches, but you're going to fragment along the way. This right here, you're going to get to 13.3 inches, but it's not going to fragment and shred up. It's going to be pretty much intact, one bullet left. Now, just, if I had to sit here and I had to think, I'm going to repeat what I just said. If I had to get shot with either of these, like if I said, hey, I want to get hit with a 9mm or a 38, something like that, what would you rather get hit with? Let's say a 38 or... But these, I can honestly say, just from my gut instinct, that both would be pretty darn bad. Pretty darn bad. So that, just on my common sense from the years of shooting them, both are going to have similar effects on the human body. And you see that in these numbers. You really do. So which actual cartridge is more powerful? 357 Magnum. Certainly has more potential energy. But which one is more effective? I think they're dead even. Just going to be a little bit different in a little bit different ways. If you have to shoot through a car door, obviously the 357 Magnum is going to do it better than 45. Light body armor, same thing. But soft material, flesh, they're both going to kind of do the same thing. This is going to fragment up huge and then keep going. This right here isn't going to hit with as much force, but that momentum it has will cause it to continue to move forward. So I would say they're pretty close. They're just going to deliver their energy in significantly different ways. Larger hole right off the bat, smaller hole with fragmenting. This one's going to have a little bit more range, a little distance. However, I mean, it's handguns, you're not going to be shooting that far. So, which one's more powerful? Which one's more effective? I'm going to say a complete tie. I really am. And the other thing here, I know a lot of people talk about this a lot, but you know, I can't get past that this is a 6-shot, and some of these are 7-shot. Now that's pretty comparable to a 1911. But there is no revolver that holds 13 plus 1. 14 rounds of 45 is definitely far superior to 6 rounds or 7 rounds of 357 Magnum. However, that being said, the average self-defense shooting is 3 rounds. The Glock is pretty darn reliable. You know, most Glocks are. Revolver, a little bit more reliable. If it went down right now and 2 guys broke in my door in my house, or 3 guys, I think you guys know right now which gun I would pick up and use if I had the choice between these 2 handguns. When I need that much firepower, it's pretty common sense. Here we go. What was that? I'm ready. Now if I didn't have this, I would feel no reservations about defending myself with this. A good shot with it, it's effective. But in today's world, you know, you feel a little bit better with something like this, facing the threats that there are out there. But I still like the old 357. It is a reliable, proven cartridge. It's got an even longer track record with law enforcement than the 45 does. However, the 45 is a long military history. So, you be the judge. But I'm going to end this video saying I think they're pretty even in a lot of ways. Pretty even in a lot of ways. They really, really are. So, tell me what you think, comment, share, like, and as always, thanks for watching, and be ready for some of these 45 versus 357 Magnum videos that I hope to do this summer. So, again, as always, thanks for watching.